Keller, Basel is actually the art city in Switzerland, and you, as the former head of Art Basel and now the director of the Fondation Beyeler, are actually one of the most important people in the art world.
For me, the most important people in the world are the artists, but the great feeling is to work with interesting artists and get to enter their world and see the world a little bit through their works and with their eyes.
Basel has no mountains, so people don't really come for the landscape. They really come for the art or architecture and design.
I think a lot of people come for business because it's a center for life science and for logistics and many other things. But what sets the city really apart and what's the reason for people to come visit on their weekends or in their private life is because it's a really important city for art and architecture, modern and contemporary. I have stopped counting how many architects who won the Pritzker Prize, which is the most important award that an architect has built here. Some of them very early in their career and some of them very iconic buildings. So often also for museums or cultural institutions, but also for business. And a lot of people come here for the museums, for the public art, also for Art Basel, of course, which is an important art fair.
Right now you have the Bacon Giacometti exhibition. Two really top artists belong to the most expensive ones. Is it easy for you to put such a show together?
Well, it's never easy if you have high ambitions, but it's possible. It's also possible because our museum has a long tradition in staging really important exhibitions, and collectors and other museums have confidence that it's a good concept and that we take good care of the art, and here it gets seen by many people. We also have a collection with works, by example, by Alberto Giacometti and Francis Bacon, and our founders many of our curators also have worked on those artists. And when there's a personal connection to it and passion behind it, then more people are willing to lend, and they did very generously, and we're very grateful for that.
What about funding such an exhibition? Do you have like special sponsors, or is that within your budget?
No, that's outside of the budget. It's really expensive to do. But I think we don't start with the money. We start first with the ideas, and we start with the artists, and then we try to find ways. And we're happy that as the most visited art museum in Switzerland, the public itself contributes a lot through ticket sales, and if they go to the shop and the restaurant. But then also we're lucky that we have big corporations that support our exhibitions, like Novartis, for example, or we have UBS, who is supporting our Artist Talks program. We have Bayer, for example, sponsors our concerts. And so we have many foundations in Switzerland and private individuals, not just in Switzerland. There's some also from the United States, for example, that supported this exhibition. So it's possible to find the money, but it's a lot of work. And as the art market for those artists keeps rising, every year gets more difficult. But then we also think, we never know when is the last time that it's possible to do. And so that gives us some energy, and we say, yes, like if it would be easy, everyone would do it. So if no one has done it, like in the case of Bacon and Giacometti, to make a show of the both artists in a museum, then let's try. And, yeah.
So with so many people coming, you're now expanding the Fondation Beyeler with a new building by Swiss architect Peter Zumthor. Mm-hmm. And I read that it's going to cost $100 million, and it's going to be the double size of the museum. Why is this needed?
It's natural, like in nature, that things grow if they're doing well, but also like expansion doesn't always solve problems or growth. It creates also new ones. So the expansion will be mostly also an expansion of the park. The park size is doubling. The building is not, and it will be about half of the size of the current building, a building for art, which will allow us also to do, while we have a very, let's say, successful and busy exhibition, you can also have contemplative moments. Just look at some rooms of artists' work. Also, our collection is growing, and
You don't need to do
the
so many
best
rehangings.
place for art is actually to be seen and not to be in storage.
And what about the costs? Have you already found all the fundings?
Actually, the building is not going to cost 100 million. I hope it's not built yet, but now I think it will cost about half. But
The other half
the
is
other
for
half is
maintenance?
actually to program, because what does it help your building if then you don't have money to
Maintain it.
show art, to maintain it, you have to pay staff and all of that. I think it happens a lot that people think only about the moment of the opening, and then later they think maybe someone else is gonna sign the check, and we think it's our responsibility before like starting to make the building to already make sure that we don't leave a problem to the next generation. And so
How far are you there now?
we're in
When
the
is this
process.
plan?
Building is a process, and so we know we're going to have great buildings, but we have to wait patiently until we have the permits, and also this leaves us the time to hopefully raise the money that is needed. We have a bit more than half of it.
You get 2 million Swiss francs from the canton of Basel-Stadt per year, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
How much does that cover your expenses a year?
So the annual budget of the museum, without acquisitions and without investments, just the annual operating costs are between 25 and 30 million dollars or Swiss francs.
It's like 10%.
And so yeah, we get about 10%. When the museum opened, it was the same amount, but then it was 30%. But as the museum has grown, expanded, and does more and more program, expenses have gone up, and the support from the government remained the same.
This is not going to change.
Well, you can always hope, but I think the fact is that today culture needs both the support from public funding and from private funding, and that is very much the case here since the beginning.
You've been asked to export the brand Beyeler abroad as well. You turn it down. When I think of Paris, Louvre, that opened one in Abu Dhabi, why is this nothing for Fondation Beyeler?
When I started as a museum director, a senior colleague of mine said, your museum is the better the more you say no. And I'm a person who loves to say yes, so first I was a bit confused. But then I also, with the years, I understood, yes, there's many opportunities, but they also come with risks, and you can only do so much and focus your resources. We want to give people a unique experience when they come here. The internet has given us the possibility to communicate with a large public worldwide, and a lot of our programs are actually filmed and online, and a lot of people can interact through social media with the museum. And we think in our case it dilutes our energy if we have to do too many things. And a museum is not so much the way we look at it, the infrastructure. Of course, it's nice to have a beautiful building, but it's very much the program, it's the content. This content is generated by special people, artists, very special, and curators, and people that have to. That you can take the brand and put it somewhere else, but if Beyeler is written on the box, it should also be inside, and there's only so much we can do. And our reputation is to do things on the highest quality, and that also means you have to focus. We like to do collaborations. We think our exhibitions can travel, but also we are a museum that is not responsible for cultural politics of its country, such as the Louvre and other ones are, which is also an opportunity. And maybe the answer will be a different one in a different museum. But in our case, we like to have the software everywhere and the hardware here.
When you arrived here at the Fondation Beyeler as a director in 2008, there was not one painting by a female artist, right? You were trying to change that.
Oh yes, yeah, of course. In art history, there were few women given a chance to have a career as an artist, as a man, and in the generation of the artists, modern art, that was very much the case, which forms the basis of our museum. And the generation of the founders, also for them, that was maybe less of an issue. He has, of course, has been supporting and been friends with women artists. But now, yeah, we live in the 21st century, so it should be a normal thing, and we have to work hard to catch up on what we missed in the past. So we do it step by step. You can't change the world in one day, but as a process, yes, we collect female artists, and we collect. We do exhibitions with artists, but we try not to think too much in that. We just try to do it in a natural way. And
when it makes sense.
yes, and yeah, many museums, you can't change the past, but at least you can change the present and hopefully the future. So we try to work on that.